Welcome back to the podcast. Day number 40. You are going to hear some road noise at the beginning of this episode because I just crossed the Connecticut River once again at the New Hampshire-Vermont border. And now, folks, we are headed southbound back through Vermont. So I guess today I officially start a southbound trek, section hike number 3, headed south. So the ultimate goal this summer, Appalachian Trail Summer 2025, is to celebrate 20 summers of section hiking on the AT. And despite everything that has gone down with my decision, I am still happy with it. Day number 40, and we're going to continue hiking on the Appalachian Trail. And now that I know my limitations, and now that I've accepted my limitations, we are going to leave New Hampshire and Maine behind. I love you, both states, but Jester section hiker does not like bouldering and huge rock slabs going for miles and miles, and we're just not going to do that anymore. And now I am headed south. I'm in Vermont. I'm happy, and today I am going to use today as a day of reflection. I've got a 9.2 mile day planned back to White River Junction, and then we will continue heading south from there. So day number 40, I mean, y'all think about it. Over the last 40 days, how many changes and pivots and reassessing really have you had to do in your life, your home life, your work life? Think about all the changes you've made. So me starting to head south into Vermont is really just a everyday change and not that big of a deal. So I am headed south to the town of Norwich, and once we get to Norwich, we will make a left-hand turn and go back up to the mountain. But I wanted to give you guys just some overall stats of the hike from day 1 to day 39. It was a total of 263 northbound miles to the Maine border, and just past that from West Cornwall, Connecticut to the Carlow Cold Trail side trail. And if you look at the picture of me that I posted on my YouTube, you will see that the sign said 282 miles to Katahdin. So there is where we leave section hike number 2, and today is where we begin section hike number 3. So let's go back and review these section hikes. So section hike number 1, 2006 to 2017, all the way from Amicalola Falls State Park up to Katahdin. So one complete section hike of the Appalachian Trail. And then in 2010, I started repeating trail and began a second section hike, and we are going to conclude the second section hike all the way from Amicalola Falls State Park up the approach trail to Maine and the Carlow Coal side trail, and that is where section hike number 2 will officially conclude. And then today we begin section hike number 3 southbound from the New Hampshire, Vermont border. If there's something, this entire trek has a beautiful ring to it because I'm hiking southbound, and I just feel like on section hike number 3, I'm gonna hike my way home, and that's a good feeling. So 2025, day number 40, we are beginning section hike number 3, southbound to Amicalola Falls State Park. Who knows how long it'll take me? Who knows how far I'll get this summer? That is not the goal anymore. The goal is be out on trail, enjoy the Appalachian Trail, enjoy the fellowship, enjoy the day, soak in all the views. And I think I'll be out here for another 24 days before I have to head back to work. And we'll just see where we end up. And I was talking to Stephanie last night, and I feel like this feels so good to be hiking southbound and not having to worry about New Hampshire and Maine. And Jester section hiker is back, people. I'm still processing the last 39 days. And today is just going to be, quite honestly, I'm walking by a speed limit sign and it says your speed 3. So I guess I'm walking 3 miles an hour on the road. That's fun. Anyway, today I'm just going to do a reflection hike. It's 9.2 miles from the border of New Hampshire, Vermont on the Connecticut River, back to White River Junction, Vermont, and 1,800 feet of ascent, 1,800 feet of descent, and taking advantage of the nice, cool weather. Because if you guys will remember, the day I hiked northbound over this a few weeks ago, it was one of those horrendous hot days. And when I got to Hanover, it was almost 100 degrees. It was over 100 degrees, I guess what they call real feel. So anyway, folks, here we go. I'm happy. Thank you for sticking along with me and coming along this journey. And quite honestly, I don't know too many people that have hiked every single year for the last 20 years on the Appalachian Trail. So here we go, folks. Proud of what's going on. Proud of my decision making. And I'm going to enjoy this fine day walking through Norwich, up and through a neighborhood, and then back on the Appalachian Trail. Or I'm on the Appalachian, back in the woods. Anyway, folks, it's great to be back. It's great to have a new plan. We're still out here, and off we go, southbound. All right, y'all, I am back. I am about halfway through the hike today. And honestly, I have seen so many good people already just on this little 9.2 mile stretch that leads the northbounders into New Hampshire and the Whites, and that leads the southbounders into Vermont, where they know they have accomplished the hardest part of the trail, and everything on the trail gets easier from there. But I have truly just been reflecting, and the number one thing I want to be is thankful and grateful. I guess that's two things, thankful and grateful. And, you know, never take advantage of being able to come out here, but at the same time, I do work hard to get out here. So meshing all of those components together, and I am so peaceful today. And that means I made the right decision. And each and every one of us have had to make decisions in our life where, you don't want to, but you do. And then after that, you just find this peace and joy. And you're like, what did I wait so long for? And that is where I'm at right now. And I was reminding Stephanie of a story this morning. And if you've been listening to the podcast for a while, you will probably know that Jennifer Farr Davis, she's pretty much my hiking idol, my era of hiking idol. Just women out on the trail. And if you ever get a chance to see her speak and talk, it's incredible. And she's done so many amazing things, not only on trails, but, when she used to own her own hiking company for many years, and now her new adventures. I just admire all of it. And it takes me back to 2008, August 2008. I had about a week before I had to go back to work. And me and one of my hiking partners at the time, her name is Skippy, and she and I decided for some reason in August to go and do a section of trail down and around the Natahela Outdoor Center, up into the Fontana area. And so we went and got everything together, and we had been hiking, I think 2 or 3 days, and we made the decision. This was the third day, and we were hiking north, and we made the decision to hike a 17-mile day. Ridiculous. How you doing?
Great. How are you?
I am good. Beautiful day, huh?
Oh man, it's gorgeous.
Yes, sir. So we made the decision to hike a 17-mile day because we had looked on our map in the book. I think at the time in 2008, it must have been the Thru Hiker's Handbook. And I still have my notes in that handbook from that section hike. And we were like, oh, let's get down to the Natahela Outdoor Center. If we get down there by 7, they'll have a restaurant, and, we can find a place to stealth, put our tents up, yada, yada. So off we went. And we got down there. I swear it was like 7:05. And the restaurant was closed, but the little pop shop they had was open. So we got Diet Cokes and all the snacks we could find. And it was so cool to hike down there. Never been to that area from the trail, and get down there and you walk across this bridge over the Natahela River, and you could tell it's an area where there's a lot of whitewater rafting. And we get down there, and we must have been doing something. I don't know if we were getting water for the night or what we were doing, but this gentleman came over to us, and he said, hey ladies, are y'all, staying the night down here? And we were like, yeah. And he's like, there's a really cool stealth spot, over here around the corner somewhere. And we were like, oh, cool, thank you. And he was like, are you guys going to be here in the morning? And we were like, yeah. And he's like, well, you should wait, because there's a girl named Jennifer Farr Davis, and she is out doing the fastest known time southbound on the Appalachian Trail. And her father is over here with me. Her husband had to go home. She just got married. which we had no clue it was Brew, but his name is Brew. And Brew's been on the podcast. I think it's episode number 32, if you want to go listen to that. So anyway, and her dad had this clipping from a newspaper, and it was all about her. And he was like, when she comes down, we'll have her sign it and give it to you. And we were like, what is going on? So, of course, we were going to be there in the morning. And he was like, she should be down by, 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock or whatever. She was up at Cheoah Bald. And she was up there with this guy, David Horton. So we were like, oh, cool. So we got settled in for the night. And the next morning, the restaurant opened at 7. And we went in there and had all the coffee we could get and breakfast. And I wanted to be positioned on that bridge perfectly, so I could see who this girl was and what was going on. And all of a sudden, over by this gentleman's vehicle was all this like hubbub, like, oh, blah, 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 in and out of the trunk. And so we were like, oh man, she's got to be coming down here. And then this guy came down, and I knew who David Horton was because I had just watched the documentary about him setting the PCT, FKT. I can't remember the name of it, by J.B. Benna. And so I knew who he was. I mean, I was just starstruck. So he ran down, came down by the water, and now the Nantahala water is known to be about 50 degrees or so all the time, no matter what season. And slammed his body in the water, got back up, went over to the trunk of the car, and me and my friend Skippy are just sitting there like, what the heck? That was awesome. And it's just like he just took an immediate, river bathe, got back out, no big deal, went over, got a set of clothes, and next thing you know, here comes Jennifer Farr Davis down the trail. And literally all I saw was this tall, skinny girl, and I just thought she was the coolest thing since sliced bread. And I was like, I want to know more about this. I want to really dive deeper and get more involved in the Appalachian Trail. And she didn't stop or anything. She stopped at the vehicle, and we just kind of stayed over to the side. And her dad, I'm going to tell you the guy's name in a second, the other gentleman, must have just said, sign this, we're going to give this to these ladies over there. And she went across the bridge, and we waved, and off she went. And I'm telling you, that fueled me for the rest of our hike to go back home, figure out gear, figure out how to put more miles on the trail, and just kind of get my own logistics together to finish the trail the first time. And that was 2008. So y'all know I didn't finish the trail completely until 2017. But I was able to get it together and learn more and more and more. So I have to tell you that story to tell you this story. So the gentleman that was down there, you all know him, and or those of you that hang out around the Appalachian Trail long enough, you've met a gentleman by the name of Warren Doyle. And Warren Doyle, that was the gentleman that was down at the car. He was helping support Jennifer Farr Davis. And we must have been doing something with our water filters down there, because one of the things he just randomly said, if you know Warren, he will just spew information and you take it or leave it. That's kind of how you deal with Warren. And he said, fear is weight. Do you fear the water? And I was like, I don't fear the water. I'm not afraid of water. And I really didn't know what he meant. I was like, what does he mean? Like, we shouldn't be using these water filters, or, whatever. So over the years, I have spent more time with Warren. I actually went to one of his Appalachian Trail Institutes, just like Jennifer Farr Davis did, and have hiked many miles with Warren on the trail. And so I know Warren Doyle pretty well. And Warren is just a spewer of information. And over the years, whether you like Warren or not, There are two things that he has said over the years that I have heard him say that I adhere to. And this is all going to lead back to me leaving the trail. Number one, there is freedom and structure. And I believe that. And I utilize that actually in my classroom because Warren is an educator. And if you give the kids structure, if they know the perimeters and the outlines, there's freedom in that structure. And I utilize that time after time after time. And I really just loved that saying. And the other one is fear is weight. And if you fear the trail, you're not going to be successful on the trail. He used to say that, quite a lot. And you can't fear what you're doing because then you become a detriment to yourself, a detriment to the people you're hiking with. And fear is weight. And my fear of bouldering and rock climbing and falling, and it's not physical weight, it's mental weight. And I was saying to Stephanie this morning, that is true what he said. Take it or leave it, whether you like Warren or not. Fear is weight. And for me, fear of the trail is mental weight. And the first time I finished the trail, I feared the trail. But I had other people get me through, and I'm very thankful for that. And I just powered through. And I'm just not going to hike in fear. And that is the moral of this big, long story that I just told. I just love that story regardless because ever since 2008, Jennifer Farr Davis's first book, every time I see her speak or out anywhere and I have her book, I have her sign the book again. So she has signed the book multiple times. And I've told her over and over that, basically she is who I consider my hiking mentor, and I have learned many lessons from her time out on the trail. And like him or not, I've learned a few things from Warren Doyle as well. And fear is weight. So that fear of hiking in that territory of everything you go through in New Hampshire, everything you go through in Maine, I can't carry that anymore. And the moral of the story is I let all that go. I let it go. And now I'm hiking very peaceful today. And I'm walking through it. And I'm not looking back. And we're just going to carry on this summer, being out on the Appalachian Trail, hiking southbound. Enjoying the trail. It's still hard. It's not like the trail's not hard. It's not like you're not climbing and going over roots and rocks and various different styles of mud piles and slabs. But if you've hiked in New Hampshire and Maine or the Adirondacks, you know what I'm talking about. So anyway, folks, I am going to wrap this up. I am going to continue on this day, get down to White River Junction, and call it a day. Rest up the rest of the afternoon, have some good food, and get back out on trail tomorrow. So we'll be back tomorrow. All right, y'all. You guys aren't even going to believe this one. So here I am, hiking southbound in Vermont. Just left New Hampshire this morning. And hiking northbound up the trail, here comes Jeff Garmeyer again. And we just kind of looked at each other. He said, wait a minute. Did I just see you, getting ready to go into Maine? I said, yeah, coming out of the Whites. And I said, now, when I saw you before, you were going southbound, and I was going northbound. And he's like, yeah, right now we're doing the opposite. So he's out managing and doing all the things and training for his upcoming FKT self-supported doing his own thing on the Appalachian Trail. And yeah, we stood on the trail and talked again for, I mean, we probably talked for 10 or 15 minutes. And we just laughed. And I told him what I was doing. And he's like, yeah, you gotta have fun. You gotta be out here, you know, especially if this is what you're spending your summers doing. And how hilarious. I almost died. I was walking up and he was coming down a hill and I said, oh my gosh. And he said, how in the world are you here? So here we are, folks. He's out training still. And I said, well, you're probably going to pass me going southbound, depending on what day you start. And I told him what day I was planning on getting off the trail. And he said, you know what? It's probably going to be close. And we just left it as, I said, I hope I see you again. And he was like, yeah, me too. And we just said, happy trails and carried on. So, all right, y'all. Day number 40. That is just another confirmation. All is well.